Good morning. We'd like to share a little good news with you today.
Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a long white robe in heaven, I know.
A long white robe in heaven, I know.
There's a long white robe in heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a pair of wings in heaven, I know.
A pair of wings in heaven, I know.
There's a pair of wings in heaven, I know, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a starry crown in heaven, I know.
A starry crown in heaven, I know.
There's a starry crown in heaven, I know, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a golden harp in heaven, I know.
A golden harp in heaven, I know.
There's a golden harp in heaven, I know, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, good news. Chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind.
Thank you so much, Laura Berryhill and Anton Miserak, our musicians this morning. Good morning or good afternoon, whenever you may happen to be listening to our recording. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Rogue Valley in Medford, Oregon. I'm Kimberly Hawkins, Senior Minister, and as always, we're so grateful that you have decided to join us for our Sunday celebration. We're an open, diverse, spiritually progressive spiritual community, and we're dedicated to teaching spiritual tools to both transform personal lives and help make a world that works for everyone. So we honor you no matter where you happen to be on your own personal spiritual journey. With me this morning is our brand new practitioner, Teresa Jenkins, who will be doing our invocation, our opening prayer and reading this morning. Holding high watch from home is practitioner Nancy Clay. And we go back now to our musicians, Anton and Laura.
This song was written by a friend of ours, and she has given us permission to share it with you, and we think it's just beautiful. It was written on Mount Shasta.
Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. More than melody, strong and unhurried, the keynote of change in the ways of the world. A river Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. My life in harmony with all life, and the life beyond the life, beyond the life, beyond the life. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. A note, a chord, a symphony, eternity within a ring. Eternity within a ring. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently.
Hello, I invite you to bless this service with me. Take a deep breath if you would like, close your eyes. Just be here and now. This is what I know. I know there is one energy, one power, one spirit that expresses as love, as compassion, as peace. I know that this energy is right here, right now, expressing as me and as everyone within the sound of my voice. And so I bless this service. I know that it proceeds in divine right order. I know that this blessing goes out to all who are watching or listening. It is good and very good. Today is a good day. And together we say, and so it is. My reading today is from Living the Sacred Yes by Reverend Deborah Johnson. I hope this to be the inspiration for you all. There is only one life, one power, one essence. It expresses at each and every one of us. We all live in the same energy field. We all love with the same heart, think with the same mind. We exist only because we are connected to the whole. Individually, we are distinct expressions but not separate entities. Any sense of separation or otherness is an illusion. You are a representation of me and I of you. We are mirrors and reflections of each other. I can't do anything to you without it reciprocating on me. There is only one of us here. In your eyes, I recognize the truth, beauty and power of pure spirit. I know who you are beyond what you have done. I know who you are beyond what has happened to you. I see your essence and it is magnificent. I see it in you because it resonates in me. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. To salute is to acknowledge rank and authority. I salute the divine in you. I salute the divine in us all. It is worthy of honor, recognition, and praise. And so it is.
We're going to do a song for you now that I wrote. It was originally written in honor of some friends who went through fires, and we'd like to hold in our prayers all of those today who need that protection. Something lost, something found, In a single moment, heaven fills your eyes, it's all around. For a single moment, can you hear your heart in the quiet of your dreams? Keep a good heart, let it be yours, let it be true. Keep a good heart, let it be happy. Keep a good heart, fill it with hope, see it anew. It is your heart to share. The sun reveals its brilliance like a diamond in the darkness, sending ripples through the cosmos to the edge of time. You've given it all away, what you never knew you wanted, what you always thought you had, but the heart remains. Keep a good heart, let it be yours, let it be true. Keep a good heart, let it be happy. Keep a good heart, fill it with hope, see it anew. It is your heart to share. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart, keep a good heart. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart. 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 Keep a good heart.
What a beautiful reminder. Anton and Laura and Teresa's reading, all on the same theme. Wow, thank you both. Thank you all. These first 2 weeks in September, we're wrapping up our 7-part series, The Path to Less Stress and More Joy. We're examining 7 daily habits described in Mark Batterson's book, Win the Day. Now, last week, the habit we talked about, habit number 5, was cut the rope. And we talked about our need to take risks in life sometimes in order to move forward, in order to move in the direction of the dreams that the divine has planted within us. Sometimes we have to take a risk, a scary step. What I didn't tell you, well, first of all, I want to quote again Mark Batterson. He said, there are moments in life when playing safe is risky, because playing safe won't get us to where we want to go. What I didn't share with you last week is how that Cut the Rope title came about. You know, we've had all kinds of cute little titles for our habits. Kiss the Frog, Fly the Kite, Flip the Script. There was one more in there. Anyway, they're cute. They all have a story behind them. So here's the story behind Cut the Rope. In 1853, a man named Elisha Otis was an exhibitor at the World's Fair in New York. Now, this was the first World's Fair that the United States had hosted. It was a big deal. They had built a huge exhibition hall called Crystal Palace, and all the newest inventions were going to be demonstrated and on display. Elisha Coates had invented a safety brake for the elevator. He wasn't selling very many of these. People were skeptical about how safe elevators really could be. Even in New York City, the highest building was only 5 stories tall, if you can imagine, in 1853. And people didn't want to walk up more than 5 flights of stairs. The top flights were hard to rent out because, again, nobody wanted to walk up 5 flights of stairs. So Elisha decided to take a risk. He rigged an elevator platform high up towards the ceiling in the Crystal Palace where everybody could see it. And it was when it was his turn to demonstrate his invention, he had hired an axeman to stand above him, and he signaled that man to cut the rope. The elevator plummeted about 3 seconds or so and then stopped. And of course the crowd gasped, and he exclaimed, "All is well. We're safe. We're completely safe." And that launched the career as an elevator. I don't know if it was 3 seconds. He might hit the floor, but it was like a good 3 feet. Now, interestingly enough, his willingness to take that risk and to cut the rope paved the way for the modern skyscraper. Right after that, the next year, the first elevator was installed in a building on Broadway in New York City, and buildings began to be built 10 stories tall, 20 stories tall. Within 50 years, there were 500 skyscrapers in New York, and you all know the rest of the story. Today, something like 58,000 elevators and God knows how many skyscrapers. And the Otis Elevator Company, you've probably noticed the name Otis when you stand in an elevator. They're still big. And the company claims that the equivalent of the world's population rides their elevators every 3 days. Mark Batterson reminds us that cutting the rope is like cutting the ribbon on the dreams that God has placed within us. One of those statistics I think might not be right, but anyway, 58,000 might be the number. No, I don't know. The number of skyscrapers is better. No, it's not 58,000. Okay, so it's 58,000 elevators. That's good. I got it right. All right, so today our topic is called Wind the Clock. There's not really a story behind this one, but a clock, obviously, is a symbol for time, past, present, and future. Batterson talks in his book, these 7 habits are all about our relationship to time, really. They're about burying dead yesterdays, living fully in the present moment, and imagining unborn tomorrows. Now, our relationship to time is pretty important because it's a gift we're given, right? Time when we wake up each morning that we're given to use as we wish. Unfortunately, some people want to wind the clock back and go live in the past. And I would say not only some people, but probably all of us at some point in our lives wish we could go back and live in another period of our lives. Some people want to speed time up. You know, I'll be happy when I get married, have a family, get a new job, have better health, and so on. And it's really a challenge to live fully today and seize the day. Batterson reminds us that time is measured in minutes, but life is measured in moments, special moments. So the habit called Wind the Clock is about making the most, not just of the minutes in the day, getting our to-do list done, but also making moments that are lasting memories that are meaningful to us. Now, the ancient Greeks had 2 words for time. Chronos, C-H-R-O-N, meant quantitative time, chronological time, the passage of minutes, hours, days, and so on. Our word chronological comes from that root word, chronos. The other word for time was kairos, K-A-I-R-O-S, which is very different. Kairos is a qualitative view on time. It's about making moments, seizing the day. It's about having an opportunity and making the most of it. Batterson tells us Kairos is about perceiving the prompting of the Holy Spirit and then taking off your shoes. In other words, listening, as Ernest Holmes, our founder of Science of Mind, would say, listening to that inner voice of guidance within, spirit within, that is our intuition, and following it, taking time to follow it. Life's greatest moments, I would say, are off the clock in a way, aren't they? Time stands still sometimes. They're about enjoying the journey, smelling the roses, not about getting somewhere or getting something done on time. Unfortunately, I was smelling the roses a little bit too much this morning. I almost got here late. Anyway, kind of ironic for a talk on winding the clock. I remember when my first child was born, Krista, I truly felt and expressed like I felt like time stood still. I felt like I was outside of time and space with this new little family and this new little baby. And I know Ben in the next room can probably relate to what I'm saying because he has a newborn at home. It was such a magical time, and nothing seemed to matter in all the world except my relationship with this new little one. I love what Winnie the Pooh, in Winnie the Pooh, Pooh asks of Piglet, "What day is it?" And Piglet squeals out, "Well, it's today." And Pooh said, "Oh, that's my favorite day, today." And I just think about what it would be like if we all could live that way, if we all could live as if today is our favorite day. The psalmist, one of the psalmists in the Bible, wrote, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And I think that this habit called wind the clock is really about recognizing each moment of our lives for what it is, a gift from God, a gift from the divine. There's a little poem by Henry Van Dyke Jr. that speaks to our relationship with time and the different ways we can relate to time. It's called Time Is. Time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, too short for those who rejoice. But for those who love, time is not. The original couplet at the end was, "For those who love, time is eternity." And I like that one even better. That's what it felt like when Krista was born. That I was just thrown into this feeling of eternity. There wasn't minutes and hours in a day. I didn't even feel like I was on a planet spinning around the sun. I was out of time, out of space. And really, when we can get in that place of love, as Teresa so beautifully read about in the reading by Reverend Deborah Johnson, as Laura and Anton sang about having a good heart, when we're in that place of love, knowing that we are love, knowing that we're one, that Christ consciousness, that we're one with all of life, we really experience the eternal. We see things from a God's perspective, which is eternality. A great place to be, not something that we always manage to accomplish. So, the problem is, we really get distracted a lot, don't we? I don't know about you, but I know I do, and I bet most of us listening do. We're bombarded with all kinds of information, more so than ever, more so than when we were young. It is just almost out of control. I read somewhere that we are exposed to 5,000 advertisements a day. Think about that. 5,000 ads a day. And sometimes it's unexpected. I mean, even when I play a little coloring app on my phone, ads come up and I have to wait through them, to get to the game. Batterson tells us that the universe of data doubles in size every 2 years. That, I believe, is a geometric progression, not an arithmetic. I mean, that's like doubles every single 2 years. And on average, each person spends 2 hours and 22 minutes on social media. We get interrupted in some fashion every 8 minutes. Kind of hard to stay grounded and in the moment when all of this is going on. Sociologists refer to this frenetic pace of life as urban metabolism. I don't like it. I don't know about you, but I have tried at various points in my life to escape this urban metabolism, if you will. There's apparently a correlation, for example, between the size of a city and the pace of life. The bigger the city, the faster people are walking. Something as simple as walking. It's pretty amazing. And from my experience, this is true. When I was a young adult, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona with my family. Well, my daughter Krista was born in Phoenix. And we go back occasionally to New York City to visit my in-laws. Now, Phoenix at the time, this is years ago, was not quite as big a city as it is today. This might be different today. But when we would go back to New York, what I would notice is people were hustling and bustling. You'd get in an elevator, speaking of elevators, and people would, kind of nudge you out of the way and not even apologize. And it was kind of culture shock for me, being, someone who lived in kind of laid-back Southwest culture. When I was in ministerial school, my friend Larry Marie Heil lived in Portland, and she used to fly down to Long Beach, California, and we would drive together down to Carlsbad, California for classes. And Larry would tell me that her experience between Portland and Southern California was that kind of urban metabolism that she said, at least at the time, now again, this is 10 years ago at least, she said in Portland, in Oregon, when she'd sit at a red light and maybe she'd get distracted and not notice that it turned green, she said more often than not, the driver behind would simply wait patiently until she noticed that it was green, even if it meant sitting through a whole cycle of the light turning green and then red and then green again. In Southern California, she said, boy, you don't go right away. They're beeping at you within seconds. So again, that's not a loving way to treat others, and it's not a loving way to treat ourselves. I don't think it's the best use of our time. Now, another interesting thing about time is what happens when we age and our relationship to time when we age. There's a very interesting study that was done in 1979 by a Harvard professor named Ellen Langer. She recruited people who were in their late 70s and early 80s. She told them she was doing a study on reminiscing. So they were asked to write an autobiography of their life 20 years earlier in 1979, as if they were still 20 years younger. They were asked to send in pictures of themselves from 1959. It was then 79, 1959. And the people working on the study converted a monastery in Petersboro, Vermont to look like you were entering the world of 1959. So you walked in, there was a vintage radio playing Perry Como, an old television black and white playing on a loop The Ed Sullivan Show, books and magazines from the era, no mirrors in the monastery because they didn't want people to look in the mirror and remember how old they were. And the people participating in the study were asked to speak in present tense as if it was 1959, not talk about anything that happened after that, and not say anything in past tense. This went on for about a week. Now, when people came in at the beginning of the study, the writer said that, some of them were shuffling in and not able to move real well. The last day of the study, the whole group went out and played a spontaneous game of touch football on the lawn. There was a real difference in the energy. So here's the thing. Before the study, they did a number of interviews and markers. They tested people's intellectual acuity. They tested their biological health. And after the study, they interviewed them again. And what they found a week after the study, a week after they had spent this time in counterclockwise time, all kinds of differences were noticed. They were scoring higher on intelligence tests. Their flexibility and maneuverability was higher. Even their fingers were straighter. It seemed that the arthritis had gone away, and they had better memory, all kinds of changes. It was just phenomenal, really. And so Langer, who did the study, posited, initially she was asking if we could turn the clock back psychologically, would it have physical effects? And what she decided was yes, indeed. And we know this in Science of Mind. We know it's mind over matter. We know, as Bruce Lipton wrote in The Biology of Belief, that our beliefs shape how we feel and our ability to do the things we love. So I love that because chronologically, we all age at the same rate, right? A day passes and we're a day older. One trip around the sun and we're a year older. And everybody experiences that the same way. But in our experience, in our energy, in our attitude, as we all know, people age in very, very different ways. Wow. Anthropologist Ashley Montague said, "I want to die young at a ripe old age." And I subscribe to that school too. I have said for a long time now that my intention is to die at age 120 in my sleep, having spent a long, healthy life here on this planet. That is my intention. So, cut the rope. I want to go back to cut the rope. This week I decided to cut the rope. I decided to cut a big rope, actually. I have for years and years, well, maybe just the past decade, not disclosed my age. And the reason is there's so much race thought. Ernest Holmes talked about race thought, unconscious sometimes beliefs that are held by most of the people in a culture that may or may not be true. Oftentimes they're not. And there's so much race thought in our culture about age. The expressions, over the hill, ready to be put out to pasture. There's another one I don't know if you're familiar with, long in the tooth. I looked up the derivation of that. And in the 1800s, horses that aged, their gums receded, and so their teeth appeared longer. That's an awful expression, isn't it? And I never subscribed, when I had friends turning 40 and I turned 40, I never subscribed to, you get them black balloons and you give them over-the-hill cards. I just don't like that. Because in my view, life is precious, and we celebrate that we have another year on the planet. And yet, those of you who know me know I do not talk about my age very often. I kind of keep it a secret. And the fear is that people will judge me. People will think I am over the hill, ready to go out to pasture, on and on and on and on, that they'll make judgments about me. Or there's shame. And I think the very fact that I keep it secret speaks to the fact that in our culture, there's a certain amount of shame about getting older and with some of the physical changes that happen naturally as we age. As someone reminded me, it's certainly better than the alternative if we want to live life, okay? So remember, cutting the rope it's about taking a calculated risk. It's about looking at the benefits of a certain decision, and it's about looking at the possible costs. I've been living with looking at a lot of costs about being open about my age, and I'm tired of keeping a secret. It's not fun. And I realize that the benefits of being open about our ages as we age is that we are redefining what's possible, what 60, 70, 80, 90, etc. look like. It's hopeful. And Batterson himself in this chapter talked about don't keep your age a secret. He said, you don't keep it a secret, you don't hide it, but you also don't allow yourself to be defined by it, which I love. So, drum roll please, I have a birthday coming up this month. And before I tell you which birthday, it's a big one. And I'm having trouble with it. And I never have had trouble with my age. I mean, when my friends turned 40 or 50, it was a big deal. And I just was never bothered by it. I don't know why. I just wasn't. But this one has kind of got me a bit. So I want to share a couple things before I reveal the age. And that is how other cultures can model for us a different view of aging. For example, in Greece, elders are respected. Ariana Huffington wrote a book and told the story of visiting a monastery in Greece. And she noticed that everyone called the abbots Geronda. It's Geronda. It's the same G-E-R, the same root that geriatrics comes from. So Geronda means old man. They called the abbots old man, and it wasn't an insult. Like in this country, if you say, hey, old man, it's an insult. In their country, it was a respectful way to address somebody. It honored their wisdom, and it honored the fact that these older men were close to God. The abbesses, I guess you would call them, the women in the monastery, were addressed as Gerondisa, old lady, old woman. And so I love that different kind of approach to aging. In Korea, there's a big deal when somebody turns 60 or 70. There's a name for the two birthdays, and they're considered a person's entry into older age, and they're celebrated with gifts and festive, the family will have a festive meal and gifts. Now, when you turn 70, there is a name for it. In Korean, it's called kokui. Kokui means 70th birthday, and it translates to old and rare. So I am here today to disclose to you that I am about to become old and rare. I will be turning 70 later this month. Oh my goodness. It feels good to just not hide that and not tell people I'm telling you, but don't tell anybody. I'm not, So there's another tradition that helped me decide to cut the rope, to take this risk. And that is in Japan. A national holiday occurs every year, the third Monday of September. And it's called Respect for the Aged Day. If an older person doesn't have family, the community gets together and gives them gifts and gives them food and celebrates them. In a family, there is again gift giving to grandparents and feasting and celebrating this day for older people. And this year, the third Monday in September happens to fall on September 20th, which is my birthday. So I'm going to celebrate like the Japanese do, Respect for the Aged Day. As an aside, there are a lot of other cultures that do honor the elderly and their wisdom and their experience. Vietnam, India, China, and so on. So now I have cut the rope, and you all know. So getting back to our habit of winding the clock. We wind the clock by getting better at things every single day of our lives. The great cellist Pablo Casals is a wonderful example of this. He had an incredible career that spanned decades. At 22, he gave a private concert for Queen Victoria. At 88, he played for President Kennedy. He passed away at 96, and well into his 80s, he practiced his cello 4 to 5 hours every single day. Asked why, he said, "I think I'm making progress." So I think I'm making progress. I think we all are making progress. Now, one little caveat before I wrap this up. I realize that there are things that happen as we age. Some of us will have health issues. Some of us don't have a relationship or lose the person that we love. Some of us will have financial challenges. I mean, that's life, right? So I'm not whitewashing this, but I'm referring us back to that serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the patience to accept the things I cannot change. And sometimes, even the things we think we cannot change, we can. Because remember, all things are possible with prayer. Grant me the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. Right now, I think it's easy, and in a lot of the conversations I have with people in our community, it's easy to be worried, to be anxious. There's so much going on. We've talked about this. I'm going to read finally a poem by Mary Oliver called I Worried. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Good luck with that. Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it, and I'm hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatism, lockjaw, dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing, and gave it up, and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. Mary Oliver cut the rope. I just love that. So whether you're 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, I'm going to encourage you to wind the clock, to make moments out of each day. We all can do that. We all can take that wonderful today that Pooh talked about and make it our most favorite day. I'm going to end with this little, I don't know where it came from, I ran across this week. Now is the only moment that truly matters. Be kind, be beautiful, be strong, be alive, be you. Now is the only moment to be better at all of these. And so that's my plan for my 71st year, which is coming up. And as Eleanor Roosevelt said, what other people may think of me is none of my business. Namaste. Love to you all. I will go into prayer now. So taking a deep breath and inviting us all to do that. It's so good to remember that each day is a gift, that the present is a gift. It's a gift from the divine, that creator who brought us into being on this earth plane, in this earth school, so that it might know itself better, so that it might express itself in a more varied way. That creator that loves us, no matter our age, no matter our mistakes, no matter our abilities. We are love and expression. We are meant to be love and expression. We are the peace, the power, the harmony, the wholeness that God is. And that divine creator doesn't wish for us to be limited, doesn't wish for us to suffer, doesn't wish for us to keep secrets and hide. That creator intends for us to be kind, to be joy-filled, to be ourselves, because no one else can do that. No one else can do that. So I'm blessing each one within earshot of my voice, affirming that we can take these 6 habits we've talked about so far, flipping the script, changing the story about what aging means, for example. What does it mean to be 70 or 80 or more? Cutting the rope, being willing to take a risk, to try something new, to look at other possibilities. And finally, winding the clock, cherishing the time we have together, looking at the concept of kairos, of making moments, not just minutes, ticking by. This gift we have been given is so, so precious. And so I know if there's someone you need to say, I love you to, if there's someone you need to say, I'm sorry, if there's someone you need to forgive, may that still small voice within you, that intuition, guide you to the right actions today so that we can savor the day and not have regrets. Celebrate birthdays. Celebrate life. I am so grateful to be here. I am so grateful to be out as a 70-year-old. I want you to know I love my job, and I hope that if you don't love what you're doing right now, that you cut the rope and decide what's next, because God wants us to. What did Pablo Casals say? Making improvement, getting better, getting better. I'm so grateful for this philosophy. I'm so grateful for spiritual communities across the globe affirming our goodness and our oneness. And I know there's nothing more to do but to release this prayer into the law, that aspect of the divine that says, yes, my beloveds. It always says, yes, this prayer is answered in the mind of God. And we say together, and so it is. Amen.
I wrote this song for my beloved Laura, and in this song, I wrote in all the things that Laura most likes about living moment to moment on our land. Now if I were a cat, I'd find where you were at, put my head down on your lap, and take a purry nap. And if I were a squirrel, I'd pirouette and twirl, and jump from tree to tree, for only you to see. And if I had to change it all, my world, my point of view, my name and my story, I'd change it all for you. And if I had to change it all those silly things I do, the way I think about myself, what I wouldn't change is you. Now if I were a snake, I'd live down by the lake, hunt for fish in the lagoon. I'd share my fish with you. And if I were forlorn, I'd grab the bull by the horn, forsake the things I have to do, just to spend some time with you. And if I had to change it all, my world, my point of view, my name and my story, I'd change it all for you. And if I had to change it all those silly things I do, the way I think about myself, what I wouldn't change is you.
Aw, how sweet, Anton. Talk about making moments. Thank you. It's time now during our service to turn our attention to the practice of sacred giving. I like to say we become aware, conscious of all the good financially and otherwise that is flowing into our life, and we make a conscious decision to share a portion of it with those places where we're spiritually fed. Thank you so much to all of you who have continued to support us through the ins and outs, the meeting in person and not of COVID. We so appreciate that we can continue to reach people with our message of hope and oneness and transforming lives to make a better world. If you'd like to make a donation, there are several ways to do it. You can use the donate button on our website, which is www.cslroguevalley.org. You can use the Facebook donate button or mail a check to CSL RV. Our address is P.O. Box 1458, Medford, Oregon 97501. Announcements. We have fall classes about to start, and I want to tell you they are exciting. Registration is now open. If you register soon, you will benefit from an early bird discount on our tuition. The first one will be starting on Wednesday evening, September 15th. It's called Practical Mysticism, meeting from 6 to 8:30 online with Reverend Michelle Ariano. It is a fabulous class. I mean, look at mysticism, what the mystics knew. Mystics are those who understand our oneness, those who live from a Christ consciousness. And it is just an uplifting, powerful class. We use a book called Entering the Castle by Carolyn Mays. So you can sign up on our website or email Rev Michelle. Her email is in our weekly e-newsletter. After I get back from my birthday trip, I didn't tell you, I was planning to go hide and spend my birthday away with Reverend Linda, celebrating both birthdays so that I didn't have to tell anybody that would ask how old I am. Now everybody knows, but when I get back from that trip, I'll be starting a foundations class, the Foundations of Science of Mind, which is our core beginning class. It's transformational. It sets the stage for all the other spiritual enrichment classes that we teach. I will be teaching that class online also Wednesday afternoons starting October 6th from 2 to 4:30 in the afternoon. Again, there's a really discounted price right now, $100 plus a registration fee if you want credit. And you can sign up on our website, www.cslroguevalley.org. We are having our Wednesday morning Zoom connection call weekly with practitioner Nancy Clay at 9 a.m. The Zoom information is in our weekly newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter and you want to sign up, you can do it under email on our Facebook page or simply send an email to our admin person, Vivian, at cslroguevalley@gmail.com. And don't forget, we're always open to your prayer requests. There's a button on our website to put in a prayer request for anyone, including yourself, that you would like our prayer team to pray for. I think that's it. We're going to go now to Anton and Laura one last time for our closing song.
forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. Ishq Allah Mahbub Layla, Ishq Allah Mahbub Layla, Ishq Allah Mahbub Layla, Ishq Allah Mahbub Layla. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. Todo lo que pido de ti es que siempre me recuerdes amándote. Todo lo que pido de ti es que siempre me recuerdes amándote. Todo lo que pido de ti es que siempre me recuerdes amándote. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I ask of you is forever to remember me as loving you.
Thank you, Laura and Anton. So let's remember, my friends, this week to wind the clock. Now is the only moment that truly matters. Be kind, be beautiful, be strong, be alive, be you. Now is the only moment to be better at all of these things. Take care. Namaste.